Adrian was a thoughtful person who liked to spend time thinking about big ideas. One idea Adrian had wondered about for many years was the idea of having children. Adrian had started thinking about this subject in his 20s, and now, at age 30, Adrian felt sure that having kids was not something he wanted. Even though Adrian was confident about this choice, there were still many feelings and thoughts swirling around about why this was the case. Adrian tried to understand these feelings more by thinking deeply and looking at life from many sides. Adrian was thankful for life and knew there were many good things to enjoy each day. There was a nice home, plenty of food, and caring family members and friends. Compared to many people in the world, Adrian saw how lucky life was. Even with all those good things, Adrian still wondered if life was something that should be shared with another person, like a child. It was confusing for Adrian to understand because, on one hand, there was love and gratitude for the things already had, but on the other, there was a big question about what kind of life a new person might have. Adrian noticed that life had happy moments and also hard moments. There were days filled with smiles and fun, but also times when things felt heavy or sad. Adrian realized that everyone has struggles sometimes, and that made the good moments shine brighter. But Adrian asked deep in thought if all the happy times of life really made up for the challenges. Sometimes, when reading the news or looking around at what was happening in the world, Adrian felt worried about what the future would bring. Bad things happening, problems in countries, and trouble in nature made it hard for Adrian to feel truly hopeful about the years ahead. Adrian also saw that life was much different now than it used to be. There were so many new and complicated things like computers, phones, cars, and machines. While these inventions could be helpful, they also made life feel more full of work and tasks. Adrian remembered hearing stories about the past when families only needed one job to pay for everything. One person could work and make sure there was enough for the whole family, food, a place to live, and even some time to relax and have fun. But now, many people worked much harder for the same things, and sometimes life just seemed harder, even with all the gadgets meant to make things easier. When Adrian thought about having a child, it felt like making a big promise. Bringing a child into the world meant saying that life was fun and good and worth living. Adrian was worried about making this promise when not feeling sure about it. Adrian compared life to watching a movie. If the movie is only okay, maybe a 7 out of 10, it's not something Adrian would really suggest other people watch. Adrian felt that even though life had lots of nice parts, it might not be something that should be recommended to someone who didn't have a chance to choose for themselves. Time was something Adrian thought about too. Every person gets 24 hours each day. But when deciding how they are used, Adrian noticed that time disappears quickly. 8 hours are for sleeping, and another 8 are often used for work or school. The last 8 hours go by fast with things like brushing teeth, eating, cleaning the house, and walking to places. In the end, only a short bit of time is left for fun, play, or rest. Adrian knew that having a child would mean having even less of this free time. Taking care of a child can be a lot of work. Parents help their children eat, bathe, play, learn, and stay safe. Parents have to be ready to give up personal plans or hobbies sometimes, all to make sure the child is happy and healthy. Adrian liked babysitting nieces and nephews and enjoyed playing with them for a few hours. For Adrian, this felt like enough. It felt good to help out, laugh, and have fun, then go back to having quiet time afterwards. Adrian believed that it was important for people to become parents only if they were truly excited and happy about the idea. There were a lot of people in the world who really loved being parents, and Adrian thought that was wonderful. But Adrian also saw that not everyone felt that way. Some people just didn't feel very interested in raising kids, and Adrian believed that was fine too. Adrian learned from reading things online that there are places where people write their feelings and share stories, even when they don't want other people to know who they are. Some of those stories were about people who, after having children, realized they did not want to be parents after all. It made Adrian think about how big choices in life, like having a child, can sometimes lead to surprise or sadness. It is not easy for people to talk about these feelings because being parents is often seen as something everyone should love. In Adrian's eyes, society often made it look like the only right way to grow up was to become a parent. The idea was everywhere, in stories, on television, and in what adults said about life. But Adrian thought that being a parent wasn't the only way to have a good life. People could be happy by making other choices too, like being a good friend, having a pet, learning fun hobbies, or helping neighbors. Understanding more about not wanting children also helped Adrian worry less about what others might think. Sometimes people feel shy or left out for not having the same dream as most people. Adrian felt comfort when thinking about being honest with oneself. If there was no strong wish to be a parent, it did not mean anything was wrong or missing. It only meant knowing oneself and respecting those feelings. Adrian saw that some people had children even when they did not really want to, just because they thought it would make them happy, or because their family or friends expected them to do it. Adrian noticed that sometimes these people then tried to convince others that having children was the best thing ever. Adrian thought it was important for people to make choices that were right for themselves, not just to make others happy or fit in. There was also the idea that children might help someone feel less lonely when they are old. Adrian heard this from some friends, but did not believe it was a strong reason to have a family. Adrian hoped people would care for each other because they wanted to, not out of duty or rules. Instead, Adrian found joy in other ways each day. Helping a neighbor, caring for a pet, laughing with friends, making art, singing songs, or growing flowers. These all brought happiness to Adrian's life. Adrian tried to do little things that made the world brighter. When Adrian walked in the park, it was easy to see parents holding children's hands. Adrian was happy for people who chose this life, and was just as happy with the path chosen for himself. Adrian also thought about what life might look like if only people who truly wanted children had them. Maybe there would be fewer parents who felt sad or tired about their decision. Maybe more children would grow up with parents who felt excited and joyful. Adrian knew that life has many different shapes and paths, and no single journey works for everyone. When people talked about family, holidays, or growing older, Adrian sometimes heard questions about not having children. Sometimes people looked confused about the idea, but Adrian stayed sure, remembering that everyone has the right to make their own choices about how to live. Adrian liked spending time outside listening to birds, watching trees, and feeling the breeze. This peaceful time was one way Adrian enjoyed life. Adrian also liked being a helpful neighbor, a caring family member, and a fun friend. There were so many ways to share kindness and love in the world. To Adrian, being true to who you are and picking the life that fits you best is what matters most. It is fine to be like Adrian and decide not to have kids. It is also fine to want a big, happy family. What Adrian believed most was that everyone should make their choices honestly, for themselves, and feel proud of the life they picked. In the end, Adrian was happy being just who he was, walking his own path and finding happiness his own way. No matter what, Adrian knew that being a kind person and caring about others would always make life full of meaning. Adrian hoped that everyone, everywhere, would feel free to be themselves and make the choices that made them happiest.